Ricardo the van man. I met him online, and he's the fellow who introduced me to Natalia. He runs a tourist touring company, and I took a tour with him. We went to where did we go? Tequila factory. That's what it was. Tequila factory. This is the tequila factory. And I didn't take any pictures inside the factory, but those are the plants that the tequila is made from, and that's the old way of crushing them right there. These are great big cactus plants, and they dig them out of the ground and squash them all up and make tequila out of them. There's Ricardo. And I have to admit I don't like tequila because I did have a shot of that stuff, and I'm not a great connoisseur. There are rows and rows and rows of cactus planted out there. When they get the right size, they dig them up. Some of those roots can weigh 150 pounds. And on the tour, went by Tropic of Cancer, so I stopped and took a picture of the sign. And one of the small towns we stopped at has or used to have anyway, a fella who was born there who became a great soccer player for Mexico. So they put that statue up in his honor. This is a restaurant we stopped at for dinner. That loose parrot back there in the background. I had to take a picture of him. There's Ricardo's van sitting in front of the restaurant, and look at the cactus growing on top of the roof of that house. That is really interesting. And talk about interesting, these are little houses for fighting chickens. Believe it or not, they all have their own little house, and believe it or not, they are all tied in place. They all have strings on them, so they cannot get close to each other. If they do get close to each other, they kill each other. And this is the local cemetery. I didn't take very many pictures with Ricardo, but I had a nice afternoon. It was actually a full day. We got home kind of late, but didn't take a lot of pictures. Did a lot of visiting, I guess, more than anything else. Then we get on to Natalia's first hike, and it was just after sunup, and we arrived at the gates to the university and caught the bus headed for our first stop. The name of which escapes me at the moment. That was the church in town, the church bell. And I had to take a picture of the doggy. Anyway, we began our hike. And these are a few of the pictures we took on the way. It was a comfortable day, 75. I doubt if it was 80. A little bit clouded over, so it probably didn't get to 80. There's Natalia and her daughter in the blue top. These cattle see us coming and they run and hide. This lake, this is water covered completely over with the foliage, the flowers. We call it flowers, call them, I don't know what kind of flowers they are. Anyway, animals were walking around in it. Cows were having a good time in it. Big old huge lily pad and tomato field. And one of the local farmers who live a pretty nice looking place. Cattle and tomatoes. There's a picture of the church of the town that we're going into for dinner. A couple of the people that were on our walk with us rode in the back end of that tractor. And that's one of the main streets in town, and straight ahead is the restaurant we're going to. We were there a good long time at the restaurant, a lot of visiting, and after that was over with, we went next door to a little bar. There's the bar, and I had a beer and relaxed and sit down some more, and then we started back home. That's the last picture arriving after the first hike. Then the second hike was a very early morning journey also, but this time we had to use an open truck because the roads are so bad we couldn't get the roads were so bad we couldn't get an air-conditioned bus to make the trip for us, and we were delivering things to people in this little village we were going to, canned goods and things like that. That was one of the ladies carrying the bag of things on board. And there we stopped and picked up another couple of passengers. There's Natalia. Cold that morning, very cold. I wore my light jacket. I wish I'd had a heavier jacket on. Next time I will take a heavier jacket. And now we're getting close to the end of the road, folks, and there'll be 12 miles of gravel road. There's a pig in there, a big mama pig, and the little baby pig you could see on the outside of the pen. Well, here's the end of the road. We're going to begin 12 miles of dirt road. I took quite a few pictures because this was about 40 minutes we were on this road. Didn't have anything else to do, so I took a few pictures. This is why we couldn't bring a nice, comfortable, air-conditioned bus. The road just wouldn't handle it. Now we're entering the village where no, this was a little village that had a paved road through it. That's the reason I took these pictures. The paved road didn't last long because we soon came back to gravel. And they did have a nice bridge across this river, though. It was beautiful, but still gravel road. And the government officials followed us or arrived ahead of us in a large van. And there was, when we arrived at this little village, they have a museum in town. And there was going to be a ceremony at the village. And then we are being thanked for having an interest in the people that live in this area. That's the restroom there. Here's where the ceremony was. This lady and some of her friends were selling foodstuffs to us, and we had we were there for quite some time. A few horses next door. It was a nice little ceremony. Everybody was happy. Food was good, and didn't cost us a lot. It was fun. There we are, leaving the museum, leaving the ceremony behind, and now we're going to be traveling on down the road a ways. And this is the kitchen where our food is going to be cooked. And this is the room that I was interested because the only light bulb I saw on the whole trip, I think, and she had it in her bedroom. We stored our extra gear in this room while she was cooking our dinner. We continued our trek, walking, and this is the village well right there, and it's a warm water well. Believe it or not, they don't have to have water heaters because the water comes out of there about 85 degrees. There's another well close by. I tasted it. It tasted like water, but it was warm. It was about 85 degrees. That was in the wintertime. And there it is, flowing down the little stream. Finally going to end up in the Pacific Ocean someplace. That was a picture of the official photographer for the government of Mexico, and this was the first crossing of the river. Actually, we crossed the river twice going out, and twice more coming back before we got our dinner. One lady fell in, but I almost did, but I escaped that embarrassment. And then we get to the petroglyphs. This was the end of our walk. We visited the petroglyphs and then took a few pictures, turned around and started back, walked back to the village again crossing the river twice. There's the cook stove. You see the big log burning, and the flames, and the tortillas on top of the stove. There back in the corner is Natalia sitting with the Mexican Secretary of Tourism. These ladies were buying a blanket from the folks in town. That's the second kitchen. I ate at the second house. And after dinner I wandered around and took some more pictures in the immediate area. Fences are kind of hard to come by in that country. There I was standing in front of the second house where I had eaten. They have a little burrow there. That's the government officials' air-conditioned van that they used, and there's ours, air-conditioned bus that we used. And now we're leaving and going to make that 40-minute drive back out to the main highway and our journey home. There's a Sunday group beside the river, and that was a soccer field. "10 miles from Ilota." Yeah, this happened 2 or 3 times on the trip. The cowboys. When we got to Ilota and everybody was complaining they wanted beer, so we stopped the bus and they bought their beer. They bought a lot of beer. Folks sitting in the back of the bus had a good time coming home. Another little restaurant we took a picture of, and another one. And this was a petroglyph created by the Mexican government up on the side of that mountain. We got behind some kids in the back of a pickup truck, and they were waving and having a good time. We passed them, and Robert had to go pee, so we stopped at a spot for him to go pee. I took that picture as he came back on, or as he left. Natalia said, "Robert's gonna go peeing," and when we got back, I took that picture of everybody clapping. And it wasn't too long after that. We had to stop again, came up to a stoplight in town, and the guy jumped out at a red light, and he had to go in the restroom. So we waited there for him, and then when he came out of the restroom, he almost got hit by a bus going by, and luckily he didn't. But anyway, he hopped back on the bus and we continued on. And it got dark. This was about 6:30, 7 o'clock as we entered town, and we got notice in the paper the next day. There's a picture of us crossing the river. Got notice for they're thanking us, I guess, for showing an interest in the outlying districts around Mazatlan and the poor people and how they live, how they get along. Then the big parade, the Mazatlan Carnaval, 16th to the 21st of February. Many days before the actual parade, these things were put up on the esplanade. I think they represent warriors from many countries all over the world. I had to take these pictures on a shady day, wouldn't you know it? I was tempted to go back later and take them on a sunny day, but I didn't, because they were there for a couple of weeks. This is the southern end of the esplanade, getting ready for the big parade. Parade went from way back there, as far as you can see, up to beyond this point that I'm standing at right now. This is really near Natalia's house, a couple hundred yards away. Off to the left is the ocean. But now you see the crowds gathering as the day progresses, and the kids flying their kites on the beach. Then about 4:30 in the afternoon, the local businesses started their little parade. And that went on for half an hour or so. That was kind of fun. Well-armed policemen going by in a helicopter, keeping an eye on us all. These are mostly radio stations, a lot of FM radio stations in town. They all had floats. It was about 5 o'clock when they ended their parade. Then I see the shore patrol is marching down the street. That's not an official march. They were traveling from one end of the parade route to the other. And then the real parade begins about now. It was about 5:45 or so. And this is the real parade, and as it goes along, it gets darker and darker. Parade is going to have to speak for itself. Some of these pictures you can't make out what's going on, but I realized that pretty quickly when I was taking some of them, so I stopped taking pictures of the people on the street itself because you couldn't make them out anyway. The crowd was too big. So I just stood back with my camera and took pictures of the floats as they go by. This was a little bit after 6 o'clock, so it was getting dark, pretty sunset. I like that with the moon in the background. Some of these were very well lit up and others were kind of dark. A bunch of pretty girls. Little puppet. And that's the last picture of the Carnaval Parade in Mazatlan, 2012. Had a great time. It was a wonderful trip. I'd like very much to go back next year, and we'll just wait and see how it goes. Thanks a lot, folks.